Hello, hello, hello. Good afternoon and welcome to our second episode of Pink Stanley. This is our family-friendly session aimed at kids of all ages. I still consider myself just a big kid, really. Focusing on healthy living. How can we live healthier lifestyles as kids, young kids, old kids, however old you are? A very important message from me to you is to never grow up. It's a trick. Always be silly, always be fun, and always make the time to have a laugh at things. Today we have a few very special guests who are going to teach us how to cook some delicious, nutritious, super duper healthy and yummy and tasty food. And then later on, I am going to do our regular session of emoji of the day. I forgot to tell you my name. My name is Henry Saha. I'm one of the Vitality coaches, and I am a specialist in mental health and well-being. But let me introduce to you our lovely chefs for the day. We have today two Jameses, believe it or not, two Jimbos. Our first James is Mr. James Vickers. James is a vitality expert and registered nutritionist. James, hello.
Hi, everyone.
Thanks for joining us, James. James, what is a nutritionist anyway?
Basically, I like to tell people what to eat, but not only that, helping people making healthier choices along the way.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, James. Thanks for being with us. And you have actually devised this lovely recipe that we're going to be feasting on today, haven't you? So, and our second James is a very, very special guest. We have James Hudson, who's an ex-professional rugby player. He's played for Bath, London Irish, Newcastle Falcons, and Gloucester as well. He's been Newcastle Falcons captain for 2 seasons, even played for England as well, and was a Churchill Cup winner in 2010. James, you're also the nutritionist now for Gloucester Rugby, is that right?
Yeah, good evening, everybody. Thank you for having me this evening.
Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for being here. What does a nutritionist do in a rugby team?
We try and make sure the players are making really good choices to promote all their health and well-being, but also fueling all of their exercise and activities so they can perform well every day.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I'm going to hand over now, I believe, to James Vickers, who's going to take us through our recipe. And what are we cooking today, James? What's on the menu?
So today we're doing one of my favorites, which is Mexican food, and we're going to do build your own tacos. So it's quite hands-on. It'll be packed full of veg, some chicken we're going to use today, but obviously you can change that up with anything else. But hopefully it'll be nice and filling and hit all the right points, like James says. Even if you were a rugby player, you need the right fuel. Even if you are a child as well, it's important to set you right and get the right food in. So I'll take you through some of the ingredients. So all I've got is red onion, got mixture colour of peppers. So I've got yellow peppers and I've got an orange pepper, avocado. I've got some tomatoes, and one of my favourite things to make things taste a little bit tastier is a lime. So we'll be using all that today, along with our protein. So protein, James will probably tell you a little bit later, is all about sort of repairing our muscles and repairing our body. That's just some chicken breast for you. Also got black beans and sweet corn. So hopefully this might be you guys trying something a little bit different that you mightn't have tried before. So to start off, all we need to do is make sure our oven's on. So we're going to put our chicken under the grill. We need a frying pan. We've got that here. And then we just need a tray to put our chicken on. I've wrapped mine in foil, so sorry if that's a little bit bright. And basically makes it a little bit easier to stop washing up. So I'll start off with doing the chicken. Now this is one of my favorite things to do with chicken, is before you cook it, is to flatten it out. So to flatten it out, just pop it between 2 pieces of cling film, and hopefully kids, you can do this quite easily. So pop it between 2 pieces of cling film, and then all I've got is a rolling pin, and then with that rolling pin we can bash the chicken, and that'll make it nice and flat, meaning that it's easier to cook. Cooks quicker, and we don't have to wait too long for our tea or dinner, depending on which part of the country you've got. So James, would you sort of suggest having protein or repair foods with most meals for the guys in the rugby team?
Yeah, absolutely. So we try and describe protein-rich foods as being repair foods, as you mentioned. So they promote the repair and the growth of our muscles and help us recover from lots of exercise. But also for you young people out there, it's about helping your growth and development. So plenty of protein, trying to get it at every single meal. So that might be a couple of eggs at breakfast. It might be some chicken like we're having tonight, or some beef, fish. Dairy products such as milk, yogurt, trying to get those at each meal throughout the day is something we try and get the athletes to do throughout every single day.
Oh, great stuff. So yeah, hopefully we're hitting all those points that you just mentioned. And all I'm going to do with the chicken now is put some spices on there. Now, if you don't really like spice, you can leave this completely plain. But what I like to do is put a little bit of a spice mix together. So if you're going around the shops with your parents, try and pick out something new that you might not have tried, and it just gives things a little bit of a different flavour. And if you love your food like I do, you'll try loads of different things. So trying different spices just means that every time you taste something, it tastes a little bit different. So I've got paprika, a little bit of chili, some oregano, and some cumin in there with a little bit of salt and pepper. So I'm just going to sprinkle that over the top of the chicken breasts, and then just mix that all in together so it's covering both sides. Leave it on the cling film, so again, saving on washing up. So if you're like me, when I was a child, my mum used to get me into the kitchen and all I used to have to do was wash up. So hopefully you can get a little bit more hands-on, bash the chicken out so it's nice and flat, cover it in the spices, and then all we're going to do is pop that on our tray.
Just got a question here, James. How hot should the oven be at the moment?
So I'll put mine on grill, and then with your grill you can turn it right up to the highest setting. So mine goes up to about 240 degrees. Doesn't have to be that hot, but that means that it cooks a little bit quicker because it's so flat. You don't need it to cook. There's not like the thickness of the chicken to go through. But whack it up as high as it can go. It means it cooks nice and crispy on one side, and then we'll turn it over halfway through. So I'm just going to pop that in the oven. As the oven's on grill, probably takes around sort of 10-15 minutes, and then we'll turn it over halfway through. So pop that in. So hopefully that will cook nicely, and it'll be like nice and crispy on the top because we've got those spices on there as well. So next thing we're going to do is our vegetables. So you can remember what vegetables I said before. So we've got onions, we've got peppers. We're just going to start off with those at first, and we're going to fry them in the pan. So James, when we're looking at vegetables, we're looking at vegetables for vitamins and minerals. So what does that mean for us, and what does that mean for children and rugby players alike?
Yeah, so we try and think about all these fruit and vegetables as protection foods. So they help our health and well-being. So all of those vitamins and minerals are going to have roles in our bones as they grow, but also in our immune systems function each day. So we try and encourage the players to have lots and lots of colour at every single plate. So eating that rainbow of different colours. And I think this is a great example of that. Greens, reds that we've got involved throughout this meal, but trying to incorporate those in every meal of the day. Again, plenty of colour and variety is going to be key to help promote the health of all the athletes as well as all of us together.
Great stuff. Yeah, and we've got I've got red onion today. You could equally have white onion, and again with the peppers, you can go around the shops and try something different that you might not have had before. So there's green, yellow, red. So it's important to try and have those different colours. When I used to work with families in the past, rather than to have a wide variety of colours, the most colourful aisle in the supermarket, I always think, is the fruit and veg aisle. So trying something different is really, really important. So all I'm going to do is slice them up nice and thin, put my frying pan on sort of a medium heat, and then what we're going to do is you pop all the onions in, and then I'll pop the peppers in with it as well.
James, what's the difference between a red onion and a white onion?
It's more the flavour. So I think a red onion's a lot stronger flavour. So almost like, I don't know, like sweeter. Whereas a white onion I don't think has as much depth of flavour, which sounds quite chefy, but basically means it's just got a stronger flavour, I think.
Nice. And any tips for whenever I'm cutting onions, I get very upset. I get very sad when I'm cutting onions. And any tips for me?
I think just do it a lot. The more I've used onions, the less my eyes tend to water. Whereas my wife, when my wife comes into the kitchen, as soon as I've been cutting onions, tears are streaming down her face. So yeah, I just say cut them more, and you don't tend to cry as much. Or you can put a spoon in your mouth and see if that works.
Brilliant. Thanks. I'll try that.
So yeah, pop those onions in the pan. You should start to hear them sizzle a little bit. Make sure they don't burn. And then pop the pepper in there as well. And if you can hear it sizzling, it means it's cooking. So if you're hands-on in the kitchen, if you do like to help your parents out when you're cooking, then something good is to make sure that things don't burn. So I always learn the hard way sometimes if I'm not watching what I'm doing, or if I'm cooking and talking to camera, I might start to forget where I'm up to.
I'm a bit worried about your fingers there.
What you say?
I'm a bit worried about your fingers there when you're looking at the camera. And everyone really should be doing this with their parents, shouldn't they? They shouldn't be doing this alone, should they?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I learned how to cut and everything like that when I was a little bit older. But it's definitely skills that you can learn, obviously with supervision of your parents, making sure you're not obviously cutting with a really sharp knife. There's a load of things online that you can look at, cooking tutorials for kids to help you get into the kitchen a little bit more. So things like bashing the chicken like I've just done, things like even cutting vegetables up or mixing things together, getting hands-on is really, really good. Now I know, James, you've got children as well. Do you allow your children into the kitchen, or is that only your space?
No, I completely agree. I think getting them involved and understanding where their food comes from and what different things taste like is really key to their development and their learning as well. So I wouldn't quite let them near the chef's knife at the moment, but yeah, they enjoy doing some baking and exactly things they can get on and mix and get involved in is great for their learning and getting involved with food. It's brilliant.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, something that I'd love to do. And when I went to university, I think I was the only person in my house that could cook. And it's really a good way of bringing people together. And I'm sure Henry will talk about emotions and the joy of food brings out those emotions as well. So it's really important to sort of find out what you enjoy, find out what kind of food you like to prepare, whether it's more baking, like James has just said, or whether it is cooking like this and tasting different foods from around the world. This is sort of a Mexican meal, so it's got some Mexican flavors to it. But there's loads of different places around the world where you can try out new food. So that's really good, James, that you use your children and you get them involved as much as you can. So while all that's cooking, not burning, it's cooking, what you should see is all that will go a little bit softer. If you find that it is burning, one thing I like to do is just add a little bit of water to it. So if you just pop a little bit of water in a little dish and then you can just pop it in, and what that will do is it'll just cool the pan down a little bit and it means that it won't burn. So it's a really good way to make sure that it stays nice and soft and doesn't go too crispy. So next thing we're going to do, hopefully what you've done is you have got your black beans and sweet corn. And all you need to do is drain them and then rinse them under the tap. So I think, James, you did that before we got on camera. There you go. And all I've done is mix them all together in one big bowl. So you'll see you've got the yellow of the sweet corn, and then you've got the black of the black beans. So mix them together. Mix them all together in one bowl. And then all we're going to do is add the tomato to that. So with the tomato, again, making sure if you are with your parents, if you are cutting, then make sure you take it nice and easy and carefully. If your parents are cutting, then hopefully they can do it safely. So all I'm going to do is just slice the tomato and then cut across it again to come up with nice big chunks of tomato. So as you can see, nice big chunk of tomato. and then we're just going to pop that in with all the black beans and the sweet corn. So hopefully tomato is something that you might like the taste of. Personally, I never used to like tomato. It used to be something that was, I don't know, I just didn't really like cold tomato. I only like warm tomato. But that's just me. What kind of things is big in the kitchens in the rugby club, James? What kind of, is there a lot of fussy eaters, or are they pretty much good to go?
We're pretty lucky. We're pretty lucky that most guys will eat a wide variety of foods. There's a few people who have some specific needs, but generally, we're really lucky that we've got a great chef that we have to work with, who's cook around the world. So we get lots of different flavors, like you say. By experimenting with different flavors and trying different cuisines, it really opens up that repertoire of things that people are interested in and will try, which again opens their eyes to plenty of new different foods as well.
Yeah, great stuff. And is there anything that is a particular favourite of the squad? Is there anything that people always ask for?
A good lasagna is always a real team favourite. Lasagna with a good garlic bread and after a big training day to refuel, with plenty of energy foods in. And the day before a game, we have a bit of a tradition where we'll have a big rice pudding with berry compote as well, which is again a really big carbohydrate meal to get energized, ready to go for a match day and play rugby on a Saturday. So they're the real ones that if I leave them out of the menu, I'm in trouble with the squad.
Yeah, I do love the lasagna, one of my favourite meals. So while the onions and the peppers are cooking, they should be nice and soft now. Hopefully nice and cooked. Just going to check on the chicken. So possibly that's been in for about 4 or 5 minutes or so. We can check on that, and then we can turn it over to make sure the other side of it cooks. So making sure you use your oven gloves. What you should get is a nice colour on one side of the chicken breast, and then all I'm going to do is turn.
Can you show us that, James? Oh yeah.
You can't see it because of the steam. Well, one side's cooked. I'll turn it over.
Got a nice little question here for James Hudson.
Go for it.
It's coming from Dylan, who's 10 from Windsor. He said, rugby players eat a lot of meat. What is your favourite meat? Mine is meatballs.
That is a great question, Dylan. Thank you. Yes, rugby players do eat quite a lot of protein-rich food. So things like we're cooking tonight with the chicken, and like you enjoy meatballs as well. But I really enjoy beef. I really like steak. I have to say that is one of my favourite sort of treats to have. Not very often. We don't have it all the time, but it is one of my favourite meats to have.
You must eat well in your house with steak every night.
No, he said not every night though. What's yours, James? James, what's your favourite meat?
My favourite meat, I do love a steak, like a special Saturday night meal. I'll go for a steak. But I've really got into having pork much more recently because it's much cheaper and it goes a lot further. So normally I'll cook a big shoulder of pork on like a Sunday, and it can do you like 3 or 4 meals. So it's great to have with tacos, putting some Mexican spices on there. Or you can have it in like a stir fry. So it's really versatile. So that's a really good meat, especially when I was a student. It's so much cheaper and it goes a lot further. So it's great for the family as well. So if you are family cooking, it's really good to get a lot out of the one piece of meat.
And if you're not eating meat, what can you use instead of chicken for this dish?
Well, for instance, the black beans. So beans are really good. Like black beans is all we've got today, but you could put like mixed beans in there, so you can put kidney beans in there. You go into the supermarkets and there's loads of variety now. And you can add in things like even cauliflower. So cauliflower takes on a lot of flavour. So with the flavour we've used on the chicken, you can use that on a cauliflower and roast it in the oven, and it takes on the same amount of flavour. And then you get a lot of the nutrients from the beans as well. So just mix it up like that. But James might be able to give you a few other alternatives as well that he might have used before.
Yeah, they're great choices. Great choices. I think use in tacos as well. White fish goes really well. So if you prefer to eat fish, you can use the same spice mix on some cod or haddock fillets, something like that under the grill would be a really good idea. But if you're not eating as much meat and fish, again, some of the substitutes around that are really good ideas. Things like the cauliflower, as James has mentioned, or you could use some of the corn fillets or something like that as well with the same spice mix. But it's really completely up to you. But as James has rightly said, these spices are really versatile and can be used on lots of different dishes.
Yeah, and halloumi and stuff like that you can use as something different, which adds a little bit more of a bite to it. So
Awesome.
all I've done is next up we're going to use the avocado. So I split my avocado in half. I've taken the stone out. All I'm going to do is knock the onions and peppers off and then leave them on the stove, but not just knock the heat off, so turn the heat off. And then with the avocado, all I'm going to do is grab a spoon, and then, so kids, you can all do this. So I really like doing this because all we're going to do is scoop all the flesh out of the avocado. And what we're going to do is we're going to mash it all up together in the bowl. So if I take out all the flesh, if you get a nice ripe avocado like these seem to be, it all comes out in one, which is one of my favorite things to do, because then you know whether the avocado is ripe or whether it's a little bit hard. And once you've got that out of there, we can just smash that up with either the back of the spoon, or if you're struggling with the back of the spoon, just grab a fork, and then you can just mash that all into the side of the bowl. And what you'll end up with is a nice chunky bits of avocado. And what's good about this meal, I think, is if you've got, sisters, brothers, mums, dads, whoever who's around the dinner table with you. The thing with this is it's not a one sort of meal thing. All you can do is put all these dishes out on the table, and you can sort of pick and choose which bits you like. You can try something that you mightn't have tried before, put a little bit more on if you want something a little bit different. And it's really, really versatile. So if you like avocado, then great, head straight for the avocado. You might have tried black beans before. You can pop them on to your taco and try something a little bit different. So your avocado should look a bit like that. So quite chunky. If you want to get it a little bit smoother, feel free to try and get it a little bit smoother. And then all we're going to do is with our lime, roll it onto a flat surface. And all this does is it releases all the juices, because what we need is all that nice juice out of the lime. So if you've got this,
giving it a good massage there. James is giving it a right massage.
So I haven't got as strong hands as James because I haven't played rugby for years. So I have to roll it on a flat surface. So that will release all the juices. And then with the knife, cut down the middle. We're going to pop half of this into the avocado, and the other half is going to go into the bean salsa. So the bean and tomatoes and sweet corn. So half of that goes all the way into the avocado, and then you can mix that together. That's that done, and then half goes into the beans and sweet corn.
James, what's the difference between avocado and guacamole?
Guacamole is a dip which is made from avocado. Avocado on its own is avocado.
Okay. So guacamole is not an actual vegetable?
No. Guacamole is the dip. So like hummus. Hummus is made from chickpeas, but hummus is a dip. There's chickpeas and chickpeas. Guacamole is made from avocado, but guacamole is a dip in itself.
Right.
So what we've got there is pretty much everything's done. All we need to do is turn the oven off. Your chicken should be done. If it's not, leave it in for a little bit longer.
Oh, that looks way better. I think it's because he was massaging the lime so well. That's just brought it all nicely together. It's a little bit smoother. The texture's a little bit more consistent. Yours is a little bit chunky there, James, but that might be because you like it chunky. I don't know.
Yeah, it's completely up to you how you do it. And all I'm going to do now is just change my chopping board. And a little trick for anyone who struggles with chopping on a chopping board, something that you can put underneath it is just a wet piece of kitchen towel. Pop that underneath the chopping board and it doesn't move, so it stays nice and still. So when
That's
you're looking to
great
cut
tip.
things up, it's really, really easy to do. So next we're going to use our, what you'd call, James, energy food, or our carbohydrates. So all I've got here is some tortilla wraps. So I've got small ones, and then I've got slightly bigger ones. So you can use two different types if you want. And all I'm going to do is, while the oven is cooling, I'm just going to pop them into the oven. You can pop them straight onto the rack. And what I'll do is it'll warm them up. If you want to be really adventurous, what you can do is you can hang them over the rack in the oven, and they come out like harder taco shells. So they'll be like, so they'll be a little bit more folded in half, like that.
That's how they're in the restaurants, isn't it?
Depends which restaurant you go to. So James, what kind of what's your favourite sort of cuisine? Do you like Mexican food, or is it more traditional? Do you like Italian, or is there anything in particular?
I love Indian food. So I grew up in Birmingham, so there's a real heart of Indian cuisine in the restaurants in and around Birmingham, especially when I was growing up. So I really enjoy that type of food, and it's got such fresh flavors, you know, so again, similar to Mexican flavors as well. Lots of spices, lots of really fresh herbs, lime juice, all those really fresh flavors. And also it can be very healthy as well. So you can get some options. And they also hit the spot for the sports nutrition world as well, using that type of cuisine. So yeah, I love to experiment with that type of food as well.
Yeah, so flavoursome, isn't it? So all I'm doing here is I've took the chicken off the tray, and I'm just going to slice it up into little thickest chunks, and then go across the other way. And what you'll end up with is quite chunky pieces of chicken. Again, like we said before, if you wanted to use something different, like pork or even fish, I've even, believe it or not, done this recipe with fish fingers before. And you can mix it all in with the onions and the peppers. So you can pop it all into one bowl.
What is that gadget you've got there, James?
This.
Yeah.
Just kitchen tongs.
Tongs.
Yeah.
That's a funny word, isn't it?
So it makes it really easy. It means I don't have to burn my fingers grabbing everything. Even though after years and years of cooking, I have got what they call asbestos fingers, which means I can touch a lot of hot things. So in that bowl, I've put the onions and the peppers. I'm just going to pop the chicken in there as well. If your chicken's not quite cooked, you can obviously leave it in the oven a little bit longer. Just make sure, if you batch it nice and thin, if that was your job tonight, then it should be nice and done. And all you'll be left with is, you know, the peppers, onions, all the chicken. You can mix all that up together. And then all I'm going to do is I'll take one of the tortilla wraps out of the oven. Careful not to burn my fingers.
Let's see, Rugby James. Is Rugby James keeping up here? Are you in the same place? Are you in the right spot here?
I'm ready to go. I've got my.
Where's your mixture? Let's see your mixture.
So we've got the salsa here. So I've got all my salsa together. We've got the guacamole as well.
Yeah,
and
that's good.
Chicken. The chicken is fresh out of the oven. Let me just tilt and show you there. So we've got chicken is all cooked and ready to go. So
superb, like clockwork.
So this is the bit where you can get really creative. You can make it however you want to make it. So you can put some lettuce on there if you want some lettuce. One thing I like to do first is slap the avocado on. That goes on the bottom. Then also with this being Sweetcorn, if you don't want it cold, when you do the onions and the peppers, you can put it in there and have it warm. So if you don't want the cold Sweetcorn and cold beans, you can actually have it warm, and then you pop the lime on and the tomato in afterwards. So pop the tomatoes, the beans, the Sweetcorn all on there. You can pile this up as high as you want. The chicken, the peppers, the onion goes on next. And then if you overfill it like I have, it all falls out like that. So what you'll be left with.
Look at that.
So all fully loaded, and because I put them nice and warm in the oven, it should hopefully almost stand up. So
that looks lovely.
I'm going to take a bite out of this, so don't judge me.
James Hudson, let's see yours. How does it look? You won the guacamole. You won the avocado. Oh yeah, that looks good. Yeah. Oh, that looks great. That looks great. So hopefully everyone at home is in the same place. All done, and now James is just having a nice big bite out of that one. Beautiful.
Mm.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, let's build your own tacos.
There you go. Oh, brilliant.
As I say, you can try something different. You can try and have it with chicken, pork, fish fingers if you want to. But the really important things is get a variety of colouring with, like James said, those important nutrients from your fruit and vegetables. You repair food in terms of your chicken. But most importantly is when you're cooking, try and have a bit of fun. So hopefully you enjoy that. Hopefully you'll have a nice evening meal tonight. So I'll hand you back over to Henry and you'll finish the session for us. So thanks very much, guys, for listening and watching, and enjoy yourself. Enjoy the rest of the evening.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, guys. That looks, I'm getting hungry now already. It's practically dinner time now, isn't it? Well, thank you so much, James and James, for giving us, either getting us incredibly hungry or showing you guys at home how to cook that meal. I wonder if you guys, let us know if you've been cooking along. Which brings us to emoji of the day. Emoji of the day. And who's this here? We've got our mate Stanley. Our mate Stanley here is delivering our emoji of the day. And our emoji of the day today is, what emoji is that? Can anyone tell me? Can you see it? I think our emoji of the day today is happiness or happy. And isn't happiness great? Isn't happiness great? For me, happiness is when you know that you're happy, it's like your heart is just full and ready to explode, joy everywhere, and it's such a lovely thing to experience with your family, with your friends, with your loved ones. And something that really is the essence for me, the best bit about life is all of that happy energy that we can give, laughter and love. So we're going to share with you a short poem that I wrote on happiness. Hopefully you can see it there. It's very small there. I don't know if we can get that any bigger. Let's see. Oh yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's good. So feel free, as last time, to read along with me at home. So we'll take it after 3. So 1, 2, you'll know the first bit. 1, 2, 3. If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. If you're happy and you know it, and you really want to show it, if you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. When we're happy, we smile and joke around. We laugh and play and sing out loud. If you turn a smile upside down, it can quickly turn into a frown. But turn it upside down again, and a smile is back, just like a best friend. It never disappeared or went too far away. It just took a little break so it could return to shine for the rest of the day. And as the day turns into night, happiness keeps us warm and holds us tight. If you're happy, sad, angry, or mad, I'm glad that you're here. Our feelings are really nothing to fear, because even when they feel real or scary, in a moment, they can disappear. Thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you so much for joining us for Pink Stanley. Our next Pink Stanley session is going to be in 3 weeks' time, where we will have more special guests, getting us a little bit more active this time. So less eating and more being active. And it will be time to put your dancing shoes on, as we'll be learning how to dance from some professional dancers. So thank you so much again. Thank you so much to James and James. James, both Jameses, Rugby James and non-Rugby James. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for joining in.
And if you'd like to let us know your thoughts, or even just say hello, I'm going to just drop into the conversation there a little feedback form. And if you want to let us know how you got on with the meal, please do. I'm going to just pop that in there now. It would be great to hear from you. And if there's anything else you want to see on our new Pink Stanley sessions, let us know too. So thanks again. Hopefully you've got some lovely nutritious dinner to tuck into, and hopefully we'll see you again soon. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.